I'm like a dog, I do the most to get off on my leash, yeah. I am a beast, looking for something to eat, yeah. I cannot be defeated, I could take off, I don't need a reason. Anyone that see me sweating, bleeding, I'm about to take off, can't believe it, yeah, believe it. I cannot be stopped, no, no. 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 I'm like a dog, I do the most to get off on my leash, yeah. I am a beast, looking for something to eat, yeah. I cannot be defeated, I could take off, I don't need a reason. Anyone that see me sweating, bleeding, I'm about to take off, can't believe it, yeah, believe it. I cannot be stopped, no, no. 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 I cannot be stopped, no, no.
It's a warm welcome back then, ladies and gentlemen, to RaceSpotTV and to Friday Night Primetime, the show where you have your say as to where we go next. Well, last week we had a very, very special race, and it has, well, been the theme all season long, and today is no different by any stretch of the imagination. We're here back on dirt for the Rallycross series at Atlanta, and well, what a treat we have. We have a full grid of 10 drivers taking to the track. My name is Zach Sweeney. I'm joined by William Chadwick in the commentary booth with Zach Johnson behind the scenes, pushing the buttons and giving us the production feed. And well, Will, we were a little bit scared that we weren't quite going to get the full grid, but we got there in the end, and well, we're back on dirt. We had Brands Hatch earlier on in the season, and well, what are we looking forward to today?
Well, like you said, it seems like when we come together as a commentary team, it has to be Rallycross, and I'm definitely excited again. I mean, we're always going to see really close racing, of course, with the way that these lobbies start. You know, you get the three alongside into turn one. And I think even though we've got some very, very good names in this race, I think we'll get quite a close race, especially for the podium positions.
Oh yeah, for sure. And well, we're going to take a look as to how they racked up in terms of results for week 8. We're already a good chunk of the way through this season. It's gone very, very quickly. Well, the day, the series we are at here today, the Rallycross series, took 40% of the votes. In close second was the LMP2 Prototype Challenge at Suzuka with 34. Then sort of languishing in behind was the Radical Racing Challenge at Road America. Then the F3 Motor Racing at Long Beach with only 11%. So not quite as close as the voting was last week. Unfortunately, we did have a couple of technical difficulties last time out. We were meant to have the IndyCar fixed at Road America, but unfortunately that didn't quite come to fruition. But we're back. Hopefully should be all good for today. And well, again, we've got some close voting, and it seems that the community do like to have their say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like we say, we've seen this is really new to RaceSpot. Obviously, you see the World Championship on Rallycross, and now gone to the I think the off-road trucks. But it's a unique opportunity for the drivers that do thrive in these series to come and appear, show their skills live on air, and we get to watch a very, very interesting show, as it's something completely different to the normal form of road or maybe even oval that we get to watch.
Yeah, again, it just allows us to go to all these different disciplines, as we say, time in and time out. Pretty much any week that we come on Friday Night Primetime, we say it just allows us to sort of dip our fingers in all the different pies and, just have a bit of a look. And sort of experience series, as you say, that we wouldn't usually typically see in the spotlight. That is sort of the aim for Friday Night Primetime, and of course to give all you lovely lot at home a say in where we go and what we do. And yeah, it is awesome to see, and so far this season has not disappointed whatsoever. We have got a 10-lap race coming up, so not a very long one at all for the Rallycross. They are very short and sweet. Unfortunately, unlike Brands Hatch, we don't have the heats and all that build up and whatever, but we have just come out of qualifying. The grid will be up as soon as possible, and to no surprise, it's Kylian Delalomo who takes pole position. The Frenchman was very quick, World Championship license as well. He'll be joined by René Sotens on the front row of the grid in P2. Matthew Jones P3 with Alex Aterio P4 just in behind. Carl Wicks rounds off the top 5 with Andrew Petty just in behind there in 6th. Then to round off the grid, Jeremy Humbert, Jordan Highland will round off together in 7th and 8th, with Grant Booth and Joshua McKaylee rounding off the grid 9th and 10th at the back there. We've not got long until we get underway, Will, and well, this should be a good one.
Yeah, like you say, the starts are always going to be close here in Rallycross. You see the cars lined up so close together, again, something which is very different to what you'd see in the road disciplines. By all means, if Delalomo gets a bad start, then it could be really, really interesting down into the hard braking zone for turn number 1.
Oh, absolutely, for sure. We've, well, not got long left to wait until we are underway for week number 8 here for Friday Night Primetime. The lights are coming on, and we are waiting for the drivers to barrel their way down in towards T1 for the first time. Of course, they have got the Joker to take along the way also, but 10 laps. Friday Night Primetime is underway, and it's a good launch from our pole sitter, who gets away pretty well. They're leading the way down in towards T1. You've got to get heavy on the brakes. You've got to be careful. He might get mugged off a little bit from Sotens in behind, but it looks like he's gotten away quite cleanly. And well, what do you expect from a world champion?
Yeah, that's obviously the outcome we did expect. Having a little lock-up just mid-corner into turn number 1, so nearly went a little wide, but dealt with it very calmly, very well, and leads now by nearly 7/10 of a second.
Yeah, well, he's really getting off strong, and the last thing he would have wanted is to languish in behind, because it can be quite hard to overtake in these Rallycross cars. Of course, he definitely knows what he's doing. He has a World Championship license, an 8.2k iRacing for crying out loud. He definitely knows his way around the dirt, but he is closely followed by Sotens. A bit of carnage a little bit further back. Here's Humbert, McKaylee and Highland, I think, having a bit of a skirmish and not getting off to the best of starts by any means, but we round off lap 1 onto lap 2 of this race, and well, I guess that is to be expected. A couple of really shine out people, and then towards the back, because it's not too popular of a series, you do get sort of the slightly lower inexperienced cars.
Yeah, but it's a fantastic opportunity for these guys to learn. Obviously, they get full access to watching the laps of the cars that are slightly higher up the field, so they can definitely learn, grow, progress inside this dirt road series. And it's a really unique opportunity, especially what we do when we get to broadcast this. We bring the big names sometimes to these series, like we see today with Dalla Lomo and the World Championship license.
Yeah, and well, if you are... Oh, here's actually a move there from Jones looking to the inside. He's side by side with Wilkes, who gets it all sort of wrong, oh my word, into the barrier, and that is a huge hit for him. He gets overtaken by Andrew Petty, well, he is retiring out of this race, understandably so. Humber as well is tumbling down the timing order, which isn't particularly too great. But going back to my point, you look there on the left-hand side, that little crown next to each other's, all of our drivers' names, is their Joker sort of delta. If they've taken their Joker, that crown will light up in a yellow colour, and that shows that they don't have to take their Joker lap. It's only have to do it once, but it is a mandatory thing just to sort of hinder yourself, and it does play a strategic element in these races.
Well, yeah, like you're saying, that was Wilkes coming off the Joker, so he was just going to complete his Joker lap, I believe, and it's so easy to get it wrong, you know, like you say, just dipping the wheel on the grass, slightly different grip, unbalances the car straight into the wall, and really unlucky there for Wilkes. And yeah, like you say, it's a very, very interesting strategical element because, like you say, sometimes obviously in longer road races you'll get pit stops, same with oval. This is a slightly different element because it allows you to break away from your pack position. So let's say you're fighting for a top 3 place and it's quite a bit scrappy, you know, people are slowing each other down. You can take your Joker, get maybe a little bit of clean air, and then that can transform your race just by taking that small strategical decision.
It's a similar sort of under or overcut sort of thing, getting yourself out of the traffic, taking it slightly earlier, later, whatever it is. And that is obviously a skill that will come with experience. This is Dalla Lomo, I believe, taking to the Joker. You cut across off the exit of turn 3 in towards turn 4, and you emerge just out going into turn 6. But I don't quite think that's where they're going. That is where the Joker is, but going a little bit wide there. Who's that? That is, I believe, Jones. Yeah, not the most smart of lines, it must be said, but he rejoins and is still doing quite well. But when you've got to be, you know, putting a lot of pressure on people to sort of maximize and do your best because of how difficult overtaking can be, making those sort of mistakes to knock you out of contention definitely isn't great.
Yeah, it's one of those, this car obviously doesn't come with any ABS, any traction control, so if you just press the brake that little bit too hard, your brakes are going to lock, and that is what happened for Jones down into turn number 1. Jones 46, by the way. I think that's maybe a record for the number that I've seen on the end of a name during my time watching iRacing. It shows you how popular iRacing has gotten these days and how common that name is, apparently. So, yeah, like you say, but still time left in the race. Maybe gives him a little bit more drive to catch back up onto that podium, and like you say, it is a mistake, but I think passing's possible around here, so I'm sure we'll see something towards the end of the race.
We'll see. Well, we haven't got long left. We're already over halfway through lap 6 of 10, and no one has taken their Joker yet, so really leaving it quite late in this race in order to do so. 5 to go, as you can see in the top left of your screen. Dalla Lomo still leads from the number 2 machine of René Soten's in second place, Alex Oterio in P3, Matthew Jones P4, and then Andrew Petty in P5. Then comes Highland, Booth and McHaley, those that are still in this race. Unfortunately, we've already lost Wilkes and Humber in 9th and 10th. They had a bit of a skirmish, I think, crashed out, and unfortunately are not taking further part in this race. But hey, they don't have to wait too long for the next one because, well, they're only 10 laps long.
Well, yeah, something that I've seen on my screen is that, you know, Dalla Lomo has actually picked up some damage. It looks to be from a curb. The rear left looks to be have a little bit of bodywork damage, at least on my screen, that is. And that's going to be interesting. I think he's still got by far a big enough gap in order to make sure he's okay in this race. But interesting to see that sometimes if you do get it slightly wrong over those curves, you can pick up a little bit of bodywork damage, which is definitely not helping these times.
No, for sure not, but well, he's still maintaining good enough times. His last lap time of 45.1, René Soten's a 47.4, so consistently running pretty well. I do think the Sotens did make a bit of a mistake because compared to Alex Oterio in P3, they've been relatively close on times, and he did a 46.3. So, who's this round? This is Jones again having a bit of an issue. Oh my word, that could have been disastrously close there with Andrew Petty coming through, because you could definitely tell he had to sort of back off a little bit and avoid, because yeah, reversing back onto the circuit, not exactly what you want to be doing, especially with sort of how temperamental these cars can be sometimes.
Yeah, well, that's exactly the same thing that happened to Wilkes, fortunately not hitting the wall. But like you say, it's hard to rejoin, and you don't want to obviously call the crash in doing so. Just about all right from Jones. But like you say, it's a similar sort of incident that we saw from Wilkes, but thankfully keeping it out of the wall, but definitely not what Jones would have wanted to see.
Yeah, another mistake, unfortunately, for him. Also, with Rene Sotens falling back behind Aterio. Maybe because he took his Joker, though, the graphic is not showing up as to have done that. So maybe a mistake for Sotens, but we're getting told that it was the Joker. Unfortunately, just the graphic. There we go. There's Aterio. He's taken his Joker. Rene Sotens hasn't. So maybe the Joker gains you time around here. It would make sense because you do cut across a couple of corners.
Yeah, the Joker does look to be quite a large advantage, but it's obviously quite weird because you tend to see the Joker losing you time. But then again, looking at different sorts of races, as you can see here, side-by-side action almost coming out the Joker there, I believe, for one of the cars. It does give you quite a large amount of time, looking to be about 6 or 7 seconds maybe even.
Yeah, for sure, but they have emerged very, very close to each other off the exit of each of their Jokers. There's Sotens, we're following him on shot. He's got Aterio just in behind the gap, half a second, but we're coming on to the final lap, only 45 seconds left to go, and well, Dalilamo really has impressed.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, as we see now, taking the Joker for Dalilamo that you can't quite see ahead of you, but yeah, dominant display really, and I mean, who can blame him for how good of a performance that he's put on, showing his real class and why he has a world license. I don't know why it's not showing up that he's taken the Joker. Potentially there's a small issue there with not just our graphic, potentially the in-game registering system, so we'll have to see if it's shown he's taken that. But yeah, like you say, it shows how well he's done, and yeah, it does show Joker on the sim for us, so apologies if the graphic has been a little bad.
Yeah, unfortunately so. But yeah, Dalilamo takes across the line. He wins, unsurprisingly so. And Rene Sotens and Alex Aterio are across the line in second and third. They didn't quite have the last lap skirmish that we were hoping for. But yeah, Dalilamo taking the Joker on the final lap. We've got a Fiesta getting it all sorts of wrong on the final lap over the jump for the last time. And well, lost the place to the Beetle if that was a fight for position. But yeah, across the line, a very short race, it must be said, only 10 laps in length, of course. And just waiting for the last couple of stragglers to cross the line. But yeah, that's what you get when it's only about a 46-second lap. Very short race, but despite that, Killian really did fly away.
Yeah, I mean, what do you really expect, though? Because it's just the quality of the World Championship drivers within this sort of discipline understand all the little tactics. We saw the same at Brands Hatch with Bo Albert and how he was able to use the gravel on the outside of turn number 3 or 4, I think, at Brands, and gain extra time. And it really does show you the quality that Dalilamo has as well. And I'm unsure whether we give Bo Albert from the last time we came here or Dalilamo the win of the two Altus cars, but I'm not sure. It was a really good performance though.
Yeah, it really was. And once again, Rallycross proved to be a fairly dominant display, at least towards the front. It was Killian Dalilamo who took victory ahead of Rene Sotens in second place, with Alex Aterio rounding off the podium. Matthew Jones and Andrew Petty round off the top 5, with Jordan Hyland and Grant Booth in behind in 6th and 7th. Joshua McKaylee rounds off those that finished the race, although a lap behind Carl Wicks and Jeremy Humbert were not able, unfortunately, to finish the race. The fast lap, a 44.8, no surprise, by the 8.2 world champion license of Killian Dalilamo on lap number 2. So really got it away early. Of course, his Joker lap of a 36.3 was a lot quicker, but you can't count the Joker. But yeah, I mean, again, Rallycross, we were a little bit scared that we weren't quite going to get a full grid, but I mean, for a Rallycross race, for short and sharp, for sort of for an official race, this isn't sort of the top end of esports racing that you are going to see on iRacing. It was just one of those official races. You get a couple of newbies, a couple of inexperienced guys. I don't think they did too bad.
No, absolutely. Like you say, we saw people make a few little mistakes, but I think for sure people are going to learn from this, especially, like I say, the opportunity you get to race alongside a World Championship licensed driver is always a fantastic experience because there's so much to learn. And just for those being in the lobby, able to watch his laps and see what he does that is maybe differs to themselves, and the small techniques, like I think using higher gears tends to work very well in dirt sections in the Rallycross cars. It's all valuable learning for these drivers that are looking to progress their esports career.
For sure. I mean, you only learn from those that are better than you, even if you don't have many friends to go out and practice with, like some Will Chadwicks out there. But no, yeah, you learn from those that are better than you. You see what they do different, and that really does help you progress. And yeah, I mean, just going out there, following their lines, even if it's only for a corner before they've shot off and zoomed off into the distance, you see something, and it makes you tweak even the smallest of things. So for those newbies to go out there with Dalai Lama really will help them progress. Well, ladies and gents, that has been week 8 of Friday Night Primetime here on RaceSpotTV. A very, very short one because of the nature of the series that you voted for, but you can only blame yourselves because you guys voted for it. Granted, it was very, very close. I think it was like 48 votes for this, 41 votes for the LMP2s at Suzuka. But nevertheless, you can have your say for next week. Go on to the RaceSpotTV Discord and have your say. I'm not entirely sure what the options are going to be, but they will be up very, very soon. It will be around this same time, around about 8 o'clock GMT next PM, sorry, I should say, next Friday, around about that time. So do not be busy. Get some popcorn, take your sickie off work, whatever it is. But anyway, we'll see you soon, guys. I've been Zach Swin. I've had Will Chadwick alongside me with Zach Johnson behind the scenes, giving you the cameras for what has been a very chaotic day here at Atlanta. And until we see you next time on track, take care and goodbye.